How about my dearly beloved YouTube friends? Today we are in a new video. Today a long but totally necessary video because friends, the cyber offers just came out last weekend and therefore many of you will have gotten both free to play and the people who have paid numerous ranks, four of which be promoting the characters. So here the dilemma is, where do I have to focus? What character do I have to be climbing into first? Okay, so in this case, we're going to make an entire video of each class. What are the five best characters to raise the rank to rank 4, that character of that class? We are also going to take into account prestige, but later we are first going to make a top 5 characters and then we will also count prestige because it is also very important in the game. So friends, as I always tell you, I hope you give it a big like and a subscriber because in this case, we are getting back into the YouTube wheel because the algorithm had left us out. So with this video, I hope that by liking it and making any comments, we will be back on the wheel. So friends, with that being said, let's start with the top 5. As I always tell you, I always maintain a balance between attack and defense, especially too. Do you take into account the current goal and what are the best characters that in this case are being used in the current goal of the game? So as always, we're going to continue. We're going to start with the scientist, then the skilled, then the mutants, the cosmic, then the technos, and finally the mystics. Let's start with the science class. We are going to filter simply by the 7 stars that are available in the games and friends. We start with the scientific characters. There are many characters here, totally good characters that we have not yet been able to obtain, nor do we know the potential they have. Therefore, these characters are totally discarded. And so, friends, we start with a pretty powerful top 5, which may also be quite controversial because, friends, here I go. Well, I'm going to put Run 4 as the top 5 characters. Titania is a character who received a kind of little nerf not so long ago. It's worth a nerf that was quite covered by Kavan, but for me, honestly, I still use this character a lot, especially in Batenos due to the speed he has, thanks to that unstoppable without blocking him. It's unstoppable, okay? That in the end makes the fights happen very quickly with this character and also in defense, although his strength may not be helping us scratch a few seconds thanks to that unstoppable, unblockable, and indestructible. So friends, for me, this top 5 is taken by Titania. Quite powerful, worth a very, very top character, and many people are not liking her performance in the finish line lately because her characteristics have dropped a little, but I tell you that for me, it still is. A more than decent character to take him to rank 4 is worth the next character. In this case, the top 4 of the scientific characters. In this case, a character that many people have fallen in love with is going to take it away. We're talking friends of Spider-Jan. Spider-Jan is a character that you already know how to play with. It's very simple, and apart from it has totally crazy damage through those electric stings. It is a characteristic that very few characters have in this game. Therefore, it is a fairly usable character, so to speak, in attack due to that massive damage, as I have said for Electric Origins. But this friend, his performance in defense is also quite important as this character evades like a beast. It means that if, for example, you miss a couple of blows against him and he fights you, you can be seeing the stars thanks to those also critical blows that the character has. So friends, it's a very good option to take. Rank 4, this great gem awaits. The Spider Pig remains as top 4 to take to rank 4 with the gem or directly with catalysts, okay? Next character. Now, yes, we start at the top or 3. In this case, we have a character that is not going to surprise absolutely anyone, and we are talking about the very powerful Photon. Apart from Photon having the potential in defense and attack that we are going to talk about later, Photon is a character that also has prestige, which we will see later in an infographic that I have made. Photon, he is a very toned character. In fact, you are already seeing that I, for example, already have him at rank 4. And I can tell you that in defense, he is an absolute beast. Friends, Photon is one of the best you can have in defense, especially in many wars. The alliance in certain paths, this character can be greatly difficult for any character. Therefore, he has the ability to avoid. He has his unlockable patakas. He has the failure mode that he has, which cannot be stopped because otherwise he fails. So, Friends is a character very complete in defense. However, in attack, it drops a little because in the end, Photon in attack implies a series of character development, simply leaving disadvantages for the opponent. With that, you will be able to get those purple charges that Photon has. And in fact, when you throw away its silver that you reach some charges, you will be able to get furies. So you are going to develop very strong damage with this Photon. So friends, Photon is a perfect balance between defense and attack, and that is why this number 3 position in the top 3 is earned to be able to take this great character to rank 4. Very good friends. Well, after this top 3, we start with the top 2, which as I told you before with Photon, no one will be surprised if I put this piece of character in the top 2. We are talking friends of none other than Count Nephalia. Count Nephalia made everyone fall in love when he came out at the games event. Glorious games in the saga as part of payment, so to speak, a chase in the mini rack of Caban's store and made many people fall in love. As for me, you are already seeing that I have one of them in rank 4 and I couldn't be happier with this character. The attack is an absolute beast. It has the good thing about it is that it has the energy accumulation. We are going to be putting energy into the opponent. We are going to be taking it away with super attack 1 and with it we are going to be reaching loads done with him. Attack 2 will become ultramassive furies that will do a lot of damage apart from when Nephalia has immunity to almost all the disadvantages of incineration bleeding because they will be charging that energy and apart from they will be doing us less damage. Then apart from defense, he is also quite good. It is not his strong point. It is okay because his strong point is attack. But in defense, he develops spectacularly thanks to those super attacks 1 and super attack 2, which is quite difficult to avoid. Therefore, if they are going to block you, they are going to take a lot of your life. Therefore, with Drefalia, for me, it is left with this number 2 position to use. The Ascension Gem or raise it to rank 4 and friends. Finally, we start with Spider-Woman, folks. I know you can't give more credit to the issue of scientists because we know that Spider-Woman with Denefariam and Photon reign in this Spider-Woman class, which I hope to take to rank 4 soon. In fact, I haven't made any ascent. I don't know if you'll see it tomorrow or another day. The rank in my Cyber Weekend ascends, but folks, Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, he's an absolute beast. I remind you, friends, that they are going to nerf her, but only a little in defense, taking away that retaliation she has when it comes to putting that disadvantage to prevent her from evading blows. The opponents that this gave in the end said that it could enter into a kind of danger in the performance of this character in the defense that many people stayed, well, quite a stop against this character in the Alliance Wars, and I already tell you that he is a very top character in defense. But Friends in Attack is where he also develops spectacularly. He has Furies, he has High Voltage, he has Electric Stings. What more can you ask for from a character? Basically, its mode of use is very simple. You have to be intercepting to win Furies. Every 5 hits, you will win Furies with Super Attack 2. You want even more Furies with Super Attack 1, turns the Furies into passive Furies. And on top of that, you leave Electric Stings. In the end, he is a character who has damage. Very, very broken. Okay, so for me, Spider-Woman deserves to be taken first to rank 1. Forgive rank 4 in the first scientist character to be taken to rank 4 in this after Cyber Weekend. So let's stop by friends for the infographic of the scientific characters. And friends, as a summary, here I have also given you the issue of prestige. You already have the top 5 on the right, which is what we just talked about. But the issue of prestige is also very important. I remind you that prestige in the end is moving everything that has been the gaming economy. So here, as long as you have the best prestige characters upgraded from the science class, you can be focusing on the top 5 scientists. Or at least that's what I would do. Yes, or yes, you have to upgrade to the high evolver to rank 4 is the top 1 prestige, and then I would also go to Quicksilver, which is the top 9 prestige as you are currently seeing. And finally, it is true that I would leave Spider-Man a little more aside, which is the top 14. And on top of that, Photon, which you are already seeing in the top 5, is the prestigious top 13. It is above Spirta. Therefore, here it is up to you if you want gameplay in the goal, defense, and attack, or if you want to seek maximum prestige to improve your rewards. So well, in this way, what would the two characters give to rank 4 in this scientific class? Well, very good friends, the second class to be able to see which are the best characters. Taking the skilled class to rank 4 is fine. The skilled class is a mix between quite powerful defenders and attackers that are still used in the current meta. Yes, it is true that it is quite difficult to frame the characters in the best 5 to rank 4, but hey, let's try it. It is worth in the top 5 as rank 4 that you have to be rising is Lumatrix, okay? But in this case, I have to tell you that he is a somewhat exclusive character that in the end was a chase and went to the one we had, well, during the Glorious Games saga, if I remember correctly. Then friends, if you haven't been able to get this Lumatrix, then I'm very sorry, but he is a very gold character. He is a character who has a pretty crazy attack thanks to those Purias, thanks to those fractured bars. The character does ultra massive damage, and then if we highlight him on the defense part, he has that ability to fail that is going to be driving you totally crazy. A lot of people are failing on Alliance Wars teams and Materons because they are putting this defender either rank 3 or rank 4. He is a very, very valid and very top character. Aside from his failure mode, Vale also has the ability to dodge blows, so that's what he likes. Is there going to be a window for this Matrix look? Well, he comes in with everything and smashes you into cakes. Okay, he's a pretty good character, and I'm not hesitating enough to take him to rank 4 because he's a character very much like I say, both in defense and attack. Okay, so for me, Luke Matrix becomes the skill top 5 to take to rank 4. We are going for the top 4. Well, the top 4 we have, well, as I said, there are many skilled characters, and as always, of Total Scarto, really, those of us who are not going to be able to obtain yet or who do not know the performance they do in games such as Frankencarcel and Mr. Knight, okay, and Spider-Man Stealth, okay, that we don't know how it is going to be able to be developing in the goal in the top 4 friends. I'm going to include Nick Fury, okay, he's a fairly old character that I remind you that he came out with the Ace and Fire event, which in this case is Ace and Fire, right? Sorry, File, sorry. So Nick Fury is a character that we may also be getting because he is already in the Saga Crystals example. And we are also, they are in some totally exclusive crystals that they have taken out Kavan. So for that same reason for Nick Fury, it becomes this top 4 for rank 4. I remind you that the greater the singularity, this Nick Fury is going to be even more powerful because let's remember that we developed that second life that Nick Fury has, which in the end is what makes him lethal and that he is a quite strong defender both in materials and on battlefields. So if you don't have a duplicate, I don't recommend carrying it table rank 4. But if you have it doubled from 60 or 80, it is quite good to take it to a rank 4. Since I say for the defense and for that double life that you are going to end up ending more slowly and then also in the attack, we can say that Nick Fury is a piece of character as long as he faces characters who are not immune to hemorrhage. Because here, Nick Fury's strength in the attack is due to hemorrhage. When with the blows, we leave that disadvantage of hemorrhage, and if we finish the combo in a weak blow that hemorrhage well, it's going to be even stronger. So Nick Fury deserves that rank 4 in my consideration as top number 4 in this skilled class. Okay, let's start with the top 3 friends. In this case, we are going to go for defense because if friends pocket and are still one of the toughest characters in the game, and although each one takes out more and more counters from the character, they don't always hit the key. So press, and for me, it's a character that yes or yes, it has to be in tail 4 as you are already seeing on the screen. And on top of that, Bulsete is prestige, which we are going to see a little later. But Bulset is a very top character. The defense as always. This character plays like a beast like Almatrix but much more. He evades like a scared beast that eventually enters that little window and is going to be doing you totally gross damage. Apart from his critical hit, apart from his instant bleeding, and then the attack as I always say it is. quite underrated because friends have that mini game called the signaled one that you just have to drop, or the bomb or the card just at the moment before the super attack when you are going to launch it, and with that we will obtain the signaled one. Therefore our cruelty improvements that we generate are going to be even stronger. And apart from that, this character has guaranteed critical hits. Therefore, in different nodes, the character may be serving us a lot. So friends, Bullseye for me, he is the top 3 without a doubt to rise to rank 4 in your account. And apart from this character, he is going to make the difference between winning or losing in a Battlegrounds game 100%. Okay, in these two friends, we go with Yelena Belova. A character who is also quite a top in defense. We have already seen his performance. How can he be quite annoying due to his long super attacks, difficult to avoid apart from that totally good bleeding that he has, and instantaneous as Bullside appeared. And but in this case, why is he above Bullside? You will say because Yelena Belova has great use in attack. Many people thought she was totally defensive, but I can tell you no. Yelena Belova is a very good striker, and if you know how to use her and develop her to the fullest, you will have a very, very solid character. Apart from that, he is a top prestige character that we are going to see a little later. Therefore, Yelena Belova takes the position number 2 in this rank 4 of the skilled class. Okay, and finally, friends, we enter the top one that this skilled top deserves. Okay, and we're talking about Okoye, folks. Okoye, yes or yes? You must have it in rank 4. Is that there is not even an absolute doubt? Okay, hey, it is a beast. It does not have massive damage from blows, but it does have massive damage from high voltage disadvantages we bleeding. Sorry, that basically what it does is sweep away all life. The defenders, like a knife going into butter, absolutely bursts the lives of the opponents. Fights that are almost impossible through the disadvantages of high voltage and bleeding are liquidated literally in seconds. For example, you can see the latest proof in a video of mine that I have against the Lizard of Monthly Supervision. How literally this character blends into that character. And you also say, okay, what if the defender is immune to bleeding or high voltage? Don't worry because he has the solution to that. What he hears, instead of putting a hemorrhage, a high voltage, he puts two high voltages or two disadvantages of bleeding. It means that using one or the other, you will have the same damage. So he is a very top character in attack that logically you must be having in run for yes or yes. So, friends, now let's move on to the summary infographic of this skilled class. And here, friends, you are seeing the summary infographic of with the top characters at rank 4 of the skilled class. In this case, you are already seeing the top 5 that we have explained why before. But in this case, we also have to be highlighting the characters that are included in the prestige. In this case, the top already included both Koi, which is the prestigious top 12, and Hyelina, which is the prestigious top 3. So Hyelena is the best option to reach rank 4. You have everything and or Koi more of the same. But friends, here we also enter the male sim or male variant. And we have a pretty decent character with pretty good damage and very good stability. But in the end, it is a prestigious top 11. So it is also important to take it to rank 4 if you are looking for maximum prestige in the game. So friends, in this way, what would the two rank 4 characters of this skilled class give? And friends, we get to the mutant class, a class full of characters with super massive attacks with an ultra blow it all, blow up lives damage, and also a defense part that is quite glorious. Friends, let's try, as I always say, there are so many great characters in this class. We are going to try to get the top 5 best characters to take to rank 4 of this class. Because friends is not one. From simple, it is not simple. The truth is, it is not easy to take these top 5 characters to rank 4. So let's see which for me are these best characters to take to rank 4. In this case, we start with top number 5. In this case, are you seeing that I don't even have it uploaded with ISO because I was lucky enough to be getting it this cyber weekend, and we are talking about a gentle character. How can you tell me you are giving this character a top 5? Well, friends, gentle is a beast on the attack. that you can already watch the video. Well, you can see all the analysis videos that most of what I'm saying in this top are included in those videos. So we have analysis of this character. As you will see, he is a piece of beast that is simple to get maximum damage, but also with a very different gameplay, because if we reach 12 muscle loads and a super attack, we are going to have advantageous self-injury. Then it is advisable to throw him with 11 muscle mass, and then here also, because it is so much 5, because it has been discovered to me that Gentle is a character pretty good on defense. I remind you that this character has an improvement. It is called strengthening, which what it does is that the blows have much less damage when they are given to Gentle. Therefore, that makes the Garden and Scratch fights quite a few seconds. So Gentle becomes both a massive damage and pretty strong defense character thanks to that buff upgrade. So for me, Gentle in the future, I will surely take it to rank 4 because it is a piece of beast both in attack and defense, which is why I tell you separately it becomes unstoppable. Each certain combos has disadvantages of discouragement, and on top of that, it has the ability of fear that basically makes the attacks unblockable. Since friends do not act on my people is a quite key piece in these mutants, and the truth is that I feel that it is quite covered, both its ability to attack and its ability to defend. Okay? We enter the top 4 friends to bring the character to rank 4. And in this case, I am rising to a good character. I have selected a character for me. It is one of the best that we also have in the mutant class. We're talking about the mighty Daffler, an absurd beast. It has totally crazy damage, quite unique gameplay that is quite, well, so to speak, fast. Okay, ultimately what we have to be doing with Daffler is try to intercept or even hit, keep the hits strong with that one, the flicker ability that the character has, and with that we will load some loads of sound. When we reach a certain sound load, we will look at super attack 2 and we can throw it away. But folks, here comes the rather novel ability this character has. Every time we throw a super attack 1, super attack 2, a series of character races will be performed. If we click on the screen at the exact moment it throws these super attacks, with that we will be able to do great damage, and we will also load more musical loads. But nevertheless, if we do it with Super Attack 2, we will make efficiency unblockable and fury. Therefore, we will do an absolute damage that bursts the life of any defender. So, for me, Dagger is very gross damage in a very short time, and it requires being in rank 4 to have full access to that piece of damage that Dagger has in defense. It's a little less usable, okay, in the end. Dattler focuses much more on attack, and in defense he is a little more disposable. Even so, if they put it in some unlockable node, or you have to stay close as you touch that super attack too, with unlockable you can consider yourself dead. So for me, Dattler, you have this top 4 left to bring it to rank. For friends, we start with the top 3. The top 3 is a piece of character that in the end perhaps many of you do not have. But in this case, I remind you that the character is already quite accessible. I remember that not long ago we had an event to be able to select the character of rights, and in this case, well, I selected Mr. Sinister to give him more ability. Singular. We are talking about Mr. Sinister, a dive that was, if I remember correctly, the first saga, not the second or third saga. I don't remember what the arcade game saga was. I think it was in which this was the Chase saga. A character we saw that the dive they did to him was totally crazy. They turned him into a defensive character, pulling down into a piece of both offensive and defensive character. Mr. Sinister unleashes his attack spectacularly, holding still, holding the blow strong. We will carry hemorrhages on Mr. Sinister, to which we are immune. So, well, we're going to be regenerating. Thank you. If you have the masters activated, okay? Then once we throw the super attack 1 with the maximum bleeding loads, which if I don't remember are 10 or 11 at most, we are going to be triggered by generation in the opponent. I remind you that the generation is a disadvantage to which there are very few immune in the game. Therefore, Mr. Sinister, for this very reason, becomes a Gothier of this class. And then friends, we must not be, since forgetting his defensive capacity, any critical blow that hits him We have Mr. Sinister, or we tip Mr. Sinister. He's going to be healing a certain amount, which makes his survival in defense total nonsense, a total beast, Mr. Sinister. For me, he's a pretty good character, which is what I am using in almost all the missions lately. The goal is also quite fast in battle euros, and on top of that, he can use you both as defense and attack, because the same thing remains in this top 3. Top 2 Friends is going to be sung a lot by everyone. Surely no one will be discussing it, but we are putting Jim Gray at top 2. Jim Gray is a character that is exclusive to the Crystal Titan right now. If I remember correctly, he is a character who is very good both in attack and defense. You have seen him a lot as I have been using him in attack. In the videos, you have analysis on the channel in case you want to see it. It has a force due to ultramassive degeneration. It also has a characteristic, right? The game is that basically the more neuroshock the opponent has, if we throw a strong blow, we are going to be consuming them, and with that, our power bars are going to go because they are becoming smaller. Therefore, super attack 1 goes from half, super attack 2 looks like half. What does this do? Well, let's get to super attack 2 much easier, which is basically how you unleash all the damage with this character. Bing Gray is an absolute beast. I am in love with this character. And then in the defense is that it is not bad at all. It is that it is very, very good. I remind you that there is a character who is Invisible Woman, who has a kind of shield that can simply be removed while hitting her or putting her at a disadvantage. Poe in Gray has this. At the beginning of the fight, in those alliances, we will have to do very but very little damage to this character. Then you have to lower his shield to do him real damage. When you take that shield off him, he'll go back into cooling and he'll go back in. That shield therefore means Jim Gray has very few windows to do him totally real harm. You have to have specific counters so that Jim Gray can lower it quickly. That is why Jingle becomes the top 2 of this mutant class to take it to rank 4. And finally, friends, the rank top 1, you already know what it is. We are talking about nothing more and nothing less than Orslot has attack prestige, he has defense, the whole character has it. I remind you that this one came out in December the 23rd and is a somewhat old character, but even so, Kavan is releasing more and more and more counters in which, well, Orla always continues to develop spectacularly. So we already know the difficulty that this character has in defense and in attack, how he does through those that degeneration, that pause from neuroshocks and degeneration, how he literally shatters the lives of any attacker, veil, or defender, then outlaw. For me, it will always be the top one to rise to, because apart from that, it also has the prestige part, which we are going to see right now. With the infographic, and friends, you are already seeing it on screen. In the infographic, you are seeing the top 5 that we just saw in the games, which are Oslat, Jingray, Mr. Se, Mr. Tatler, and Gentle. But friends too, since we don't have to be talking about prestige, why did I say just a few seconds ago that Oslas deserves top 1? Well, because it is a defensive attack and because it is the top 2 in prestige. In the end, as I always say, prestige changes the game, and the more prestige you have, the more rewards you are going to be getting. Therefore, Oslo deserves rank 4 because it is the top of prestige. But if you don't, if what you want is to continue focusing on prestige, you have Danny Monster. Danny Monster is the top 10 prestige. Therefore, if you want to have maximum prestige, you must raise this character to rank 4 before. For example, Jim Gray, Mr. Sinister, Dander, or Gentle. Unfortunately, so friends, well, in this way, would the top mutant characters remain at rank 4? Let's go to the next class. Well, friends, let's start with the Cosmic class. The Cosmic class is full of gods, characters who have accumulations of power that have ultra massive damage, and among them are also exclusive characters. But among them, we are going to try to highlight the 5 best characters to bring them to rank 4. We have very, very good characters here, but friends, we can only be in this video doing the best 5. We are going to try to break down this Cosmic class and to see which are the best characters, taking into account the goal and everything to bring these characters to rank 4. Start the friends at position number 5, and in this case, we are going to talk about Galan Galan is a character that is totally worth taking to rank 4 because he has ultra massive damage. It is true that its development involves a lot of time, but when you manage to develop it, you have damage per burst. With the super attack, 2 ultra massive simply temper it, half weak, half you charge your planets, and when you have well, you get close to the maximum, you keep well, you hit hard. With that, you unleash the cosmic seed, you pull super attack 2, and you will see the absolute damage it has, as I said, per burst. But folks, he's also at the top east in the top 5 because he's a pretty good defender. This character has energy resistance, he has physical resistance, he is developing it. He is unstoppable and he is also unblockable. As Galan manages to throw a super attack 2, you are totally KO because the burst you are going to receive is going to be literally deadly. Therefore, Galan is totally worth being in a rank 4. Therefore, the defensive capacity as the capacity or offensive that the character has. We're going friends for top number 4. We're talking about nothing more and nothing less than Medusa. I remind you that this character appeared last year at the banquet. I think it was at the banquet at the games, not the Glorious Guardians, okay? In which we may have been obtaining it. But friends, in this cyber Wysend, we have had a selector to be able to take us to this piece of character. To what I recommend, Medusa is a robot killer par excellence. Any old or new character who is going to go out with even robots that we are going to be smashing it. Medusa is a character that took a long time to arrive from 7 and we already know why. The development that the character has, the damage that the character has is bullshit. We just have to go in. With the new bus, well, blows and blows and blows. With that, we will leave demolition disadvantages. When we have 3 demolition disadvantages, more or less, because I remind you that it ends quite quickly, we throw a super attack 1. With that, we will put armor and splintered armor that lasts a long time. With that, we will have to go to sub attack 2, and you are going to see the totally tremendous damage that we do to both robots and normal characters with the 6 Fury improvements that it has, thanks to this bug that they did to it last year. So Medusa is a character in very top attack, which I think is quite undervalued because not many people have it. But in this case, I use it in deeds, alliances almost daily, and in many of the content that exists then. Medusa is a very good character that does not require having the singularity quite high as if we had it for a while. The offensive and defensive potential will be had. Let's talk about defense then, as I have said. The defensive potential is a character who is going to be doing automatic locks. There is nothing more annoying that you are doing a combo and just blocking you at the exact moment, and that on top of that it blocks you and without certain game modes, whether war or battlegrounds. Make a stop and I'll have a combo. Ultra Massive with 6. Medusa's Fury is a character that generates those automatic blocks when she has from those 3 Fury upgrades, and therefore she is a character that can serve you both attack and defense. So for me, Medusa deserves a rank 4. In this position number 4, we are going for the top 3, and in this case, it may be a little surprise here that this character is in the top 3. We are. Talking about Carolina Dean, apart from having prestige, this character is quite high. By the way, he is a character that has performed spectacularly in the Super Attack 2 with these disadvantages of massive tilt, with those energy vulnerabilities that the character generates, and above all that he will have in the battle with a new ability, with a new characteristic in the game. On the map itself, as such, a solar effect will play, in which if we are inside, we will generate an accumulation of power. And if we throw a super attack on top of that power copy or inside that sun, well, we are going to be doing totally brutal damage and our super attack will be unblockable. This makes it a pain in the balls on defense. Carolina Dean's super attack 1 and super attack 2 are quite difficult to avoid as they are bursts. Therefore, you will be blocking. Therefore, if you block, they will be taking away even a minimum of life, which is literally crucial if you want to win or lose a battle of Battlefront or in Alliance Wars. From my friend Carolina Dean, this character is quite secretive, but I already tell you that it is totally worth taking it to rank 4, that you already know that I have it for 200 and I know what I'm talking about. Carolina Dean deserves this number 3 spot. We are going for the number 2 position in this cosmic class. And since the tremendous Thanos of the Danos was not going to walk around here, I remind you that it was the culmination of a 1 year persecution of all the LES characters. So maybe it's not for all of you who are watching this video, because in the end, maybe you haven't been able to get it. But friends, I remind you that Kaban is making offers of 5,000 runes to be able to get this character, or the parties, perhaps better said, from us Deadles to get these characters. What can we say? So the Deadless top attacking character with that Asturias, with that necrotic energy, with that energizing, and on top of that, in defense, with that armor that he has every 25%, you do him less damage. Does the character have a fairly high survival rate? So friends, he deserves this number 2 position. And finally friends, let's go with the number 1 position, which many people will surely already know. But are we talking Deezer? Client Serpiente, we know that he is a very strong character, very top. On top of that, he has prestige, and in defense, he is an absolute beast. Friends continue to release counters to this day as a resemblance to Orslaud, but without any of them being able to hit the nail on the head. Serpiente continues to be a reference in brutal defense that in wars it gives alliances, and in Batenos they totally make the difference in carrying it or not having a copy of power. He has that immunity to death that's a headache when you're going to be defeating it. And then friends, not many people usually use it, but the attack has a fairly long ramp, so to speak. I thought they were going to dive it, but they didn't bug it. But friends, every time we throw a super attack 1 or 2, when the opponent is on the wall, we will load loads of Coolophores. When we reach certain loads, we will develop Furies. Therefore, we will trigger a totally beast damage. Apart friends, with super attack 1, we will enter an improvement called concentration. Entire that we avoid failure and illusion, therefore making Snake in the goal, because it works spectacularly for friends. Snake, as always, you are going to win the top 1 of everything in defense. And in this case, if you take it to rank 4, yes or yes, you have to have the Snake in rank 4. So friends, let's move on to the infographic of the summary, and also taking into account the prestige. And you're already seeing it on screen, okay? In this case, prestige, as I always say, is quite important, because the greater prestige, you will win better prizes, whether in wars, alliances, alliance deeds, or in battlegrounds or missions. Adaptive difficulty. So you have to focus on prestige if you want to have the best prizes. So in this case, the top one that you should be uploading is Darphinix. But in this case, we can be ruling it out, because let's remember that it is a totally exclusive character that appeared in the Heart of Fire event, which is the top 5 prestige. But then more accessible, we have the Silver Surfer, who I remind you is the top 7 prestige. And apart from that, he is a quite hidden character, because many people have labeled him as not worth it. But I already tell you that both in attack and defense, it may be bothering you a little. So friend, in this way, there would be the best cosmic characters to bring you to rank 4. Let's move on to the next class. Okay, friends. And we start with the technological class, full of robot characters with incinerations. Sorry. Some totally massive and exclusive disadvantages of this class, such as, for example, the degeneration that this Arning has, that we will talk about later, and where. What do we put these friends in position? And as I always say, well, this depends on the goal. It depends on the attack of the defense and how it is developing. Well, in the battle, it's okay. These friends are going to start with top number 5. As I always tell you, we take into account both the defense and the attack to make this top to take rank 4. We are talking about Red Skull, a character who is more defense than attack. We all know that. But he is a it is a character that in the end you have to have in rank 4, because of the robustness that this character handles and how complicated it is to kill him. Then if you have him in rank 4, so sure that in battlegrounds you will win many fights, and in alliance wars more of the same. But friends, in defense, apart from being the main of Red Skull, the attack also develops quite well. In the end, he has some super attacks with high voltages. Ultra Masivos becomes unstoppable, and is a very round character that through his very ugly, since it was not that striking in the attack part, but in it we know that the defense is the best we can have in the technological class. For this reason, of course, Rojo wins this top 5 to take it to 4th place. Okay guys, let's start with top number 4, friends. Taking into account how the technological class is, which with my consideration, I consider a little weaker than the others. We find Bastion, the, so to speak, evolution of Nimrod, which by the way, Nimrod will be 7 stars from the banquet. So right now, we are taking it into account. Bastion is the quintessential mutant that we currently have in the game, which we have said that those that have a disadvantage called disintegration, which is totally exclusive to technological characters. And in this case, Bastion has it. But why do I say he's a quintessential mutant killer? Because Bastion has a brutal ability against these characters. On top of that, getting the maximum damage from this Bastion is very simple. Simply throw Super Attack 2 to gain those 2 Fury improvements. And then you have to reach Super Attack 1, keep stopping 2 strong blows, and we throw Super Attack 1. You will soon see the burst of damage that this Bastion of Disintegration does to the opponent. Literally. Wipe it off the map, and what if you're a mutant? Well, on top of that, that disintegration acts on you much stronger than if you were a normal character of another class. So Bastion as an attacker is one of the best you can have in the technological class. And apart from that, in defense, it may also be working for you because Sub Attack 2 is somewhat difficult to dodge and Sub Attack 1 for more bursts of the same. But as I say, he is a mutant matcher par excellence and he is the best we have in this technological class in attack. That's why Bastion. It must be in rank 4 and that is why this number 4 position is earned. In position number 3, we also have an exclusive character similar to how it was in the Cosmic Characters Medusa. In this case, we have Sentinel belonging to the same event that Medusa was exclusive to. They gave him a boo, but the best we also have at that event, and that currently I have been able to be, in my case, doubling up at the Cyber Wilken event, and also if you have been lucky to be able to be selected. Sentinel is a character who is very, very strong in attack. He is another mutant scavenger, but I consider that the best mutant scavenger is Bastion because of all the skills he has. But Sentinel is good for any character. Its gameplay is very simple, strong hit. We leave intimidation, we start blocking, we load the analysis. When we reach 100, we go to super attack 2, and you'll see the bursts of incineration that we are going to be developing with the character and friends have added a fairly noisy sentinel capacity. And once per mission, if for example we are at 10% of life after all the fights, we can reach super attack 3, and in this case we will change one sentinel for another. The one we have is destroyed and becomes another. Therefore, after the animation of super attack 3, we enter with a new sentinel to the limit of life. That makes it quite powerful in battle fights, for example. And in defense, what can I tell you about? The character is generating robustness as we are going to try to kill him. That those robustness are going to be activating a copy of power that if you are not attentive and don't know how to force him to have the super tax, he is going to reach super take 3. And apart from changing your sentinel for another 100% of your life, as I said before, you are going to have those massive initiation disadvantages. Besides, with strong blows, since she continues practicing, she is unstoppable, which therefore you will not be able to punish her for those strong blows. And a node with immunity to loss for Sentinel becomes a defensive Gautier. That's why they managed to make Sentinel's Buffoon a fairly round character, both strong in attack and strong in defense. For this reason, for me, Sentinela becomes a top 3 of this type of technology to take it to rank 4. So also friends, talking about the top 3, we are going towards the top 2. The top 2 friends, surely no one will miss. And we are talking about Arning Sola's robot, Arning Sola. I remind you that it was this year, I think it was, yes, he was released this year. And he is a very strong character in defense with very strong immunities. And that on top of that, he once again has that exclusive disadvantage of disintegration in the opponent, that in the end, very few are immune from other classes. So friends, Cardin, alone in defense apart, has the ability to dream. What is the dream? You may be wondering, because it is a disadvantage that the opponent leaves once it is finished. Well, basically, it passively stuns the opponent, therefore it stuns us and enters that window so that Armin alone can unleash a lot of damage to us. Then friends, the attack is quite powerful, but the only thing that the character has is that you have to be very, very aggressive. We have to be caging the defender in the corner and hitting him hard all the time, because with each hard blow, we will leave 5 disintegration disadvantages, which we can double with Super Attack 1 or Super Attack 2. So in this case, we have to be super aggressive with strong blows to trigger all of Arling's maximum damage alone. If, for example, it is a case of a casual player who is not that aggressive, you can also get quite powerful damage from him through several strong blows and chaining him with Super Attack 2. But I already tell you that Arnie alone, because she is shining much more in defense because of that ability she has than in attack. But not for that reason she deserves nothing more and nothing less than that good rank is second place in taking this character to rank 4. So friends, in this way we finish the number 2 position and we are already going to the number 1 position, which maybe you are killing me right now saying how you are going to put the man of the future with the number 1 position in rank 4. Well now, friends, yes, friends are from the future. He deserves that number 1 position in rank 4 because he is the perfect balance between defense and attack. On defense, he is an absolute beast. It generates those nanotechnological robustness that once it reaches a certain number, the swarm will be formed with those robustness. Well, every time it has more robustness, it will increase the probability that when you hit it, your blows will be deflected. Therefore, your blows are not going to be having almost any effect. For this very reason, Unmanned of the Future becomes an absolute beast of defense. Is it true that there are some pretty good counter like Corvus Law against this Anan of the Future? So since he doesn't have as many counter Sadmans from the future, he is an option piece for rank 4 in defense. But friends in attack, as I said, he is a piece of beast, simply with the soul of the future. We have to be intercepting the opponent to gain those nano robustness when we have a few, and just then that little wheel ends so that it enters disintegration mode. We will throw 8 attacks too, and you will see the damage per burst that this character has. Well, the same goes for the future. For me, it deserves the rank 4, and I also put it in the top 1 because it is quite exclusive. Therefore, not many people may be getting it. Therefore, in battle, it will work very well for you because you don't have to face it, because it is exclusive, because it was released in the Heart of Fire. So friends, after this we are going to see, because what has been the summary infographic of this top character to bring him to rank 4 in the technological class. And friends, you're already seeing it. In this case, there is the top 5 that we have just said. Okay, in addition to the future top 1, Armin Sola top 2, Centilidad top 3, Bastil top 4, and Cramio Rojo top 5. But friends, as I always say, prestige is pretty important in the game. With this, you will earn the greatest possible rewards in the Adaptive Forgiveness Adaptive Mission. Damn, I didn't get my name in the Adaptive Mission in Battlegrounds, in Alliance Wars, in Gestas. So prestige is very important, therefore IU. I would recommend that if you are looking for maximum prestige, then focus on first going up to Iron Man in Fame, which is the top 4 prestige. Then it is also worth going up to Prowler, which is the top 15 prestige. He is a character with a lot of people, both in attack and defense, and Iron Man or LG, who is the prestigious top 19, who is very good in attack, in defense minus the attack, also quite top. And then he would go to the top 5. Okay, so friends, I'll leave this to you because it's your total choice. I'll leave you the infographic here. So friends, let's move on to the last class, which is that of the Mystics. Okay, folks. And we come to the last class, which is the class of Mystics in this case because it is full of witches, magic of dimensional beings. And in this case, we cannot take into account Dracula Attorney Foster because in the end, they are not available right now in the games and we do not know how it will act in the goal. As I always tell you, it is a personal tap that is ultimately due to my experience in games, the best characters in both attack and defense, and taking into account the current goal. Friends, let's start with position number 5, and in my case, I am going to be putting Aware World by Night that just doubled for us also at the opening of Cyber Weekend. And I remind you that this character is also prestige, therefore it is another because taking him to a higher rank were Wolverine. He is a character who is an absolute beast in defense. He becomes unstoppable and unblockable. He has breaking disadvantages that he does not. There aren't many immunes in the game. He is a character that totally deserves to be taken to rank 4 due to his defensive ability, but also in the attack part. He is a piece of beast with totally crazy bursts of breakage, and as I have always said, prestige is also quite important in this character. So for me, in this case, World Wolverine becomes the best fifth option to take to rank 4A of the Mystic class. Okay, let's go for top number 4. And in this case, this year we have a very good edition of the game called Nikon Minoru, a witch, but very, very good. He is a top character both in attack and defense. In attack, in the end, he is a character that develops poisoning disadvantages, on top of which we put immunity to improvements in the opponent. And apart from that, we have the invisibility that we can, for example, allow ourselves through a sub attack 1 well. For example, a burst of bullets from any character. So Nico Minoru aside with super attack 2, he has a totally crazy burst of poisoning damage. So, for example, if you want to see how the character plays with you, I recommend that you go to the video. In fact, most of the characters we are talking about already have video on the channel in case you want to stop by and watch it. So, friends, Nico Minoru also in defense stands out quite a bit because the poisonings they give you are totally passive. Therefore, they are going to be hurting you unless you are immune. And it has something else, a new improvement that was included with Cyclops and is adrenaline. Sorry, adrenaline is an improvement that in the end what it does is that you reduce its life but it goes blank. It means that if he hits you or blocks you or something like that, he's going to win that life. It means that its survival in defense is quite high. She has developed quite well as a defender in battle goals, alliance followers, and but it must always be noted that Nico Minuro is more of a singer than a defender. For this reason, for me, it remains in this top 4 of best forgiveness, best mutants, best mystics to bring it to rank 4. In this case, we start with top number 3. We enter by totally defensive capability. We're talking about Singers. To this day, she is still one of the best defenders we have in the game currently. And lately, it is true that she has been scoring a few points against this character, but everyone still continues to complicate this character. Why is it complicated, Enchantress? Because, friends, she enters the battle when she is a defender with 3 upgrades. One maybe can be orange, one green or purple, in which we have to be performing certain actions in the game. For example, when you have a strong blow, just hit it and force it to finish with a strong blow, knock it down or intercept it. So friends, that on paper is too easy to see, but when you are in the fight and with certain notes, it can be quite difficult, and that's why Enchantress he is quite a character, because if friends like he reaches the 1.1 super attack of those improvements, whether orange, green, or purple with that, this is going to reflect all the damage that you have been putting into the attack. Therefore, it is going to be returning it to you. And I can almost tell you that you can be seeing Diosito because he is going to be doing you a burst of totally brutal damage already in attack well. We better pass the word because in Chantry she is not at all good in attack, and that is why she becomes the top 3, because in the end she is a defender of the best that this mystical class has right now. So the top 3 goes to Chantres amigos. Now yes friends, we move to the top 2 of best mystical characters to take to rank 4, and friends, we are talking about nothing more and nothing less than Kusala. Kusala is a goddess of incineration. She is a character who is more attacker than defender, but who in defense may be bothering you, and we are going to see why in attack. It is very simple. It also enters the battle with a characteristic that we are going to have to make a stop, a strong blow, and an interception, so that we can better develop Kusala's skills. So we are going to be leaving inflamed disadvantages to the opponent, which in this case do nothing. But when, if we create a super attack 1, well, with that, we will be able to change the inflammations for incineration, which is really where we are going to get the maximum damage, but nothing happens. We face for example, a cosmic character, generate many improvements, immune initiation, nothing happens, friends. We go to super attack 2, we throw it away, and we have spiritual bush. The spiritual bush means that basically the opponent is going to be receiving direct damage. No matter how many greater disadvantages the character has, the greater the damage per disadvantage that we are going to be causing with that spiritual bush. Therefore, Kusana is a very complete character in attack that will be of great use to you. And well, in defense, he may be bothering us a little thanks to his ability with those super attacks that are somewhat difficult to avoid, but it is more attack than defense until CU Sarita. That is why he becomes the top 2 to take rank 4 in the Mystic class. And finally, friends, in top number 1, we have a new addition literally from last month. We are talking about Spider-Man Pavir, the new Indian Spider-Man that they have included us in the game, which I can already tell you is a character, but very good. It is a counter, for example, of a Snake, of Darphenix, of Thanos, of the characters that are very top in defense. It is a character that in attack is where it is going to be developed the most. We simply have to be developing those Aramid seals that are going to put us in the fight. I have analysis of him on the channel in case you want to watch him. And he is a very good character who has ultra massive damage due to a burst of direct damage, very beast. Okay, I don't want to do too much spoiler because it's a character very new. So I prefer that you go see the analysis that is a counter character of most of the pre-defenders that we have in the game. And above all, for example, the other day I fought against a Sentinel in Alliance Wars. I used a Pavir. And let's remember that when they get Sentinel analysis, well, we don't do him that much damage. Well, with the burst that Spider-Man Opavil has, we managed to blow him up. Well, being able to burst them in an extraordinary way, then in defense, it may also be of great use to you because in the end, they become blockable. It also has Fury, so how can you get a little tap? The Pavir system is going to send you with God, so nothing like this. Well, sorry, what age? Pavir system, like for me, the top one that you must be raising yes or yes in your account to rank 4. Now I do. Let's move on to the mystical characters infographic. And here, friends, we have the infographic of the top characters to run 4 of the Mystic class. In this case, you have already seen that for me, Spider Pavir is the top 1, then Kusala, then Enchantress, then Unico Minoro, and finally Werewolf by Night. But in this case, as I always say, Prestige is quite important. Why is Prestige important? Because thanks to this, we are going to be obtaining better rewards. For example, the monthly adaptive mission in the Alliance Ladies and Alliance Deeds Battlegrounds. So friends, Prestige is quite important and you have to focus. And don't lose sight of him. Therefore, what are the mystical characters that are of top prestige and enter the top 30? Well, we are seeing that Satra is the top 6 prestige. Apart from the fact that Satra is a great character in attack, he has totally crazy lethal wasps damage. Therefore, he also deserves his rank 4 and his top prestige. Therefore, it is a win to win. And then we have the Supreme Spider-Man, who in this case is the top 18 prestige. It's a little lower, but not either because you can't lose sight of it because in the end, it has enough. So nothing friends, well this is how we end this macro video of almost 1 hour. I hope you liked the video, it surges, you are there and see you in other videos. Bye bye. And before finishing the video, thank you very much to all of you who are members of the channel, to JP, to Elian Ramirez and Oscar Salmeron for being VIP Sorry this November 2025. Don't forget to become a channel member via the video description. Thank you all for your support.